On the first night, Mira began her story, the story of the merchant and the demon.
O fortunate king! I have heard that there was a well-traveled merchant who had seen both the bitterness and sweetness of life. He used to journey to distant cities and across stormy seas. Once when he set out on a journey, he left his home and traveled on until the heat of the sun exhausted him. He went under a tree to take a rest. When he had rested, he took a piece of bread and a few dates from his bag and ate them, throwing away the date pits. Suddenly a demon appeared before him with a sword and said, "Because you threw away the date pit, it struck my son in the chest, and he died at once. Now I must kill you in revenge for him." The merchant said, "O noble demon! I have great wealth and several sons. Since you intend to kill me, grant me some time so that I may return home, divide my property among my children, and make my will. After 1 year, I will return to you." The demon accepted his request. The merchant returned home, divided his wealth among his children, and told his family and relatives the whole story of what had happened with the demon. When the year came to an end, he returned to that same desert and sat beneath the tree. Then an old man appeared, leading a deer in chains. He greeted the merchant and asked, "Who are you, and why are you sitting alone in the place of the demon?" The merchant told him his story. The old man was surprised and felt sorry for him, saying, "You will not escape this danger." He sat beside the merchant and said, "I will not leave this place until I see how your affair ends." The merchant was lost in his sadness and crying. Another old man arrived with 2 black dogs. He greeted them and asked why they were sitting in that place. They told him the story. Soon after, a third old man arrived riding a mule. He greeted them and asked the reason for their presence there, and they explained the matter to him as well. Suddenly, a cloud of dust arose, and from it the demon appeared with his sword. He caught the merchant's hand and wanted to kill him. The merchant wept, and the 3 old men also wept for him. Then the first old man, the one who had the deer in chains, stood up and said, "O prince of the demon, I have a strange tale concerning this deer. I will tell it to you, and if it pleases you, forgive 1/3 of this man's blood." The demon said, "Tell it."
The story of the old man and the deer.
The old man said, "O prince of the demon, this deer is my cousin. For 30 years she lived with me as my companion, but she gave me no child. I then took a slave girl, and she gave me a son. When the boy reached the age of 15, I had to set out on a journey. I traveled to another city for trade, and my cousin, who is this deer, had learned magic in her youth. By magic she turned my slave girl and my son into a cow and a calf and handed them over to a shepherd. After some time, when I returned from my journey, I asked about the slave girl and my son. She said, 'The slave girl has died, and the boy has run away.' I wept at these words and spent a whole year in sorrow, until the feast of sacrifice arrived. I sent for the shepherd and asked him to bring me a fat cow as a sacrifice. The shepherd brought a fat cow, and it was my slave girl. I rolled up my sleeves, tightened my belt, and took a knife to sacrifice her. But the cow cried and wept. I felt pity for her and did not kill her. I told the shepherd to slaughter her, but when he did, I saw only bones with no flesh. I regretted it deeply, but my regret was of no use. Then I gave the cow back to the shepherd and said, 'Bring me a fat calf instead.' The shepherd brought a calf, and it was my son. When the calf saw me, it broke its rope and ran toward me. fell to the ground and cried out in distress. I felt mercy for him and said to the shepherd, "Let this one go and bring me another cow."
When the story reached this point, morning came, and Mira fell silent. Lydia said, "Oh, sister, how beautifully you told your tale." Mira replied, "If the king does not kill me today, tomorrow night I shall tell a story even more delightful than this." The king said to himself, "I will not kill her until I hear the rest of the story." When day came, the king sat in judgment. He spent the day attending to the affairs of the kingdom until afternoon. The minister waited all day, expecting the girl to be put to death, but he heard no news of it and was filled with wonder. Then the king rose from the court, went to the palace, and sat with the minister's daughter to continue listening to her tale. Thank you for staying with us until now. The story of the old man and the deer is not finished yet. Support us to hear the rest of the story. The remaining part will be on the next video.